dear students. Myself Vandita Doshi on behalf of JK Shah classes is here to discuss the past paper questions. It will be very important for the June 23 students as this will give you just an idea that which chapter has how much weightage and how questions are asked and how to write answers in your paper. So let us quickly start with your chapter number 2 of your part A. So name of your chapter is types of companies and weightage of this chapter is around 7 to 10 marks. Very important chapter. Sometimes you may get even 2 questions on this, sometimes 1 question on this, but every time they ask minimum 1 or 2 questions from this chapter number 2. And they are not direct question students, they will ask you in the form of a case law. In order to crack the case law, it's very much important that you need to be very conversant with the provisions. So let us start with the first question, which is your December 22 question, which was asked for 5 marks. And as you all know students, question number 1 does not have any option. So it's a mandatory question. So mostly questions from chapter 2 are asked in your question number 1 only. Hence it's very important to be conversant with your chapter 2. So your first question talks about Raman, who is an Indian citizen. He has stayed in India during immediately preceding financial year for 130 days. Then he appoints Sanjay, he is a foreign citizen, as a nominee who has stayed in India for 125 days during immediately preceding financial year. Now the question is Raman eligible to incorporate an OPC? If yes, can he give the name of Sanjay in Memorandum of Association as his nominee? Justify answers with relevant provisions of Companies Act 2013. I understand students that it's very difficult to recollect the entire question. So what you can do is, if you're not able to interpret the question properly, you can just make parts of that. Like for example, first point we saw is Mr. Raman. Okay, Raman is an Indian citizen and he has stayed in India for the period of 130 days, right? The next person you have Mr. Sanjay. Sanjay is a foreign citizen and he has stayed in India for the period of 125 days. So this is your question, and now Raman want to incorporate an OPC in India. So which section is applicable students? Yes, you are correct. It's section 2 clause 62 of an OPC. What does this say? This particular section says that OPC, that is a one-person company, can be incorporated only and only by natural person first of all, and secondly should be an Indian citizen. So these are the important requirements. So first requirement is Indian citizen. Along with the Indian citizen, the person has to be natural person. Okay, so Indian citizen and the natural person. Now when you analyze the case law students, look at the information of Raman. Is he an Indian citizen? Yes. So the first requirement is fulfilled and he is a natural person also. So can Raman incorporate OPC in India? The answer is yes. So Raman can incorporate OPC. Now the second question is, can Raman appoint Sanjay as a nominee? So for nominee rules are same. Just like a member of OPC, even nominee has to be a natural person and Indian citizen. So over here Sanjay is a foreign citizen. So he is not qualifying. So when he is not qualifying, he cannot be named as a nominee. I hope we have got our answer. Okay, so what is the answer? Let us go back to the question first. What was the first question asked? Is Raman eligible to incorporate OPC? The answer is yes, he is eligible to incorporate OPC, and you have to give reason for that, as Raman is an Indian citizen, also a natural person. Okay, And second one, can he give name of Sanjay in the memorandum of association as his nominee? Over here the answer will be no, because Sanjay is not an Indian citizen. Okay, so now how do you write this? Now for writing the answer of your case laws, you have to take 4 steps. Applicable law section as discussed in the class. Second one, provision is very mandatory. So in that you have to write the definition of OPC and who can be the member of OPC. Okay, so how do you write in that? As per section 2, clause 62 of Companies Act 2013, only natural person and Indian citizens who may or may not be resident of India can incorporate OPC in India. Same rule applies for the nominee also. Then you have to write your arguments. With reference to the above provision, as Raman is an Indian citizen, he can incorporate OPC in India. But Sanjay's name cannot be given as a nominee in the memorandum of association. Reason? He is not an Indian citizen. The last point will come analysis or conclusion. Over here you have to just write what is your answer. So we will conclude like this. Raman can incorporate OPC in India but cannot give name of a Sanjay as nominee. That's it. So this was your first question. If you write it systematically as discussed, then you can get full marks, that is 5 out of 5. I hope everyone has understood this. Now going to the next question, students. Again this is December 22. I told you from chapter number 2 they may ask you 1 or 2 or more questions. So this is again from chapter 2. Ramesh wishes to form a Nidhi company, okay, with minimum paid up equity capital of 12 lakh rupees. Now Ramesh is seeking your guidance regarding general limitations and prohibitions put in place for the Nidhi company. Now students, this is not a case study, rather this is a direct question. Okay, so in this, remember the new Nidhi company rules 2022, where the paid up share capital limit is minimum 10 lakh rupees and the net own fund limit is 20 lakh rupees. So over here, Ramesh want to incorporate Nidhi company with minimum paid up capital of 12 lakh rupees. So it is as per the limit prescribed. I hope all of you understood. So our answer to the first question is yes, Ramesh can incorporate Nidhi company with paid up equity capital of 12 lakh. But what is the main question? They have asked you about the general limitations and prohibitions. Okay, now what will be your answer? We will just have a look at it. Yes. So again this is a direct question. This will be your answer. Rule 6. So what all things Nidhi company cannot do? Nidhi company cannot do hire purchase, chit fund business, leasing, finance, acquisition of securities, because it can do only and only lending and borrowing, that too only and only among its members. Secondly, it cannot even issue the preference shares or debenture or any other security, because it can issue only and only equity shares. After that, it cannot open any current account with its members. It cannot acquire shares of any other company. But if it wants to acquire, it has to pass a board resolution, shareholders resolution, and take the RD approval. Subsequently, it cannot carry on any business other than Nidhi company, but yes, it can provide for the locker facilities. But the limit of that income earned out of the locker facility cannot be exceeding 20% of its gross income. Okay. Along with that, some other provisions are: they cannot accept deposit, lend money other than members, because Nidhi company deals only and only within the members. It cannot pledge any asset. It cannot take deposits from the body corporate, because body corporate are not the members of the company. I hope everyone knows that. Only natural persons can be member of a Nidhi company. They cannot enter into partnership for lending or borrowing. They cannot issue even advertisement, but yes, for private circulation of members, if any circular is issued, it will not be deemed to be a advertisement then. And lastly, they cannot pay any brokerages in order to mobilize the deposits. The question is for 5 marks, students. If you write all the points, well and good. But you, for 5 marks, minimum 7 to 8 points are to be written. So this was your question 2 which we have discussed. Going to the third question, students. Now Delta LLC is a limited liability corporation registered in California. Okay, the company has no place of business in India by itself or through agent, but it's doing online business through electronic mode. So now when you find such kind of lines in your paper, what you can do is just underline. Okay, so now we have to explain whether Delta LLC will be treated as a foreign company as per provisions of Companies Act 2013. Now just recollect, students, which section is applicable. Now they have only told you it's a foreign company question. So foreign company, which section is applicable? Everyone knows it's 2 clause 42. So this section will be applicable. What is your 242? 242 says that a company which is incorporated outside India but has place of business in India. Now how does it have place of business in India? Either physical mode or through electronic mode or any other mode. So over here electronic mode is included. So as per our question, Delta LLC is incorporated in California, but even though it does not have any physical place of business in India, but it has a place of business by electronic mode. Because of this reason, Delta LLC will be treated as a foreign company in India. So what exactly you have to write in your answer? First of all, applicable law, applicable section we have discussed. Then you have to write definition of foreign company in the provisions. After that, in arguments, you have to relate that provision to the given question as we related. And last one is your conclusion. Now, how do you write the conclusion? Again, read what is your question. Explain whether Delta LLC will be treated as foreign company as per provisions of Companies Act 2013 or not. So your answer will be like this. As per provisions of section 2 clause 42 of Companies Act 2013, Delta LLC will be treated as a foreign company. No need to write again the explanation that why it is a foreign company, because already we have written that in the provision also and in the arguments also. I hope all of you understood the question number 3. So let us go to the next question. Now question number 4 says that MN Limited, a company registered in Japan, has established a place of business in India. So now we have to advise MN on documents to be required to be filed by company with concerned ROC under provisions of Companies Act 2013. We all know, students, that under section 2 clause 42, whenever company sets up place of business in India, either physically or electronically or any other mode, then such foreign company have to file certain documents with the ROC. Now what are the documents? Let us go to those documents. Now this documents has to be filed first of all within 30 days of establishment of place of business in India. And what are documents? First of all, they need to file certified copy of charters like your memorandum and articles of association. Then if it is not in English language, then you have to submit the translated copy of that. Along with that, we have to submit the full address of registered office of your company, list of directors, secretary of the company, then name, address of one or more person who is authorized person who is doing business in India on behalf of that foreign company. Then full address of office which is located in India. Then their opening and closing timing, and declaration that none of the director or the authorized representative are convicted or debarred from formation of companies in India. So all these documents needs to be filed with the ROC. Now you say, ma'am, how to remember so many points? See, learning is always going to help. So you have to read this for 4 to 5 times and it's very easy to remember. Once you remember the concept, you have to present that in your own language. Okay, so this was your 4th question from chapter 2. Let's go to the next question. Now ABC Limited, involved in manufacturing or trading activities, it has established a branch office outside India. Includes a firm, association of person. Now permission in this regard has to be obtained from RBI. Highlight the permitted activities by RBI. So what are the activities allowed by RBI for setting up of branch office? Now again this will be covered in your chapter number 2, allowed activities. Now these are the allowed activities for any of the branch office. Okay, so now what are the activities which are allowed? Import and export of goods. They can even give any of the professional or the consultancy services. They can also carry out research work, but yes, only in that area where your parent company is engaged. Along with that, they can also promote technical financial collaborations between Indian company and its parent company abroad. It can also represent parent company in India by becoming a buying or a selling agent. It can also render various services relating to IT and the development. It can also give technical support for all the products by Indian company or the parent company. It can also start its foreign airline or a shipping company in India. So all these are the allowed activities. See students, when they have asked you allowed activities, no need to write any extra point like what is a branch office, what is the eligibility criteria. You have to be very specific. If ICSI asks you what are the allowed activities, only write the activities, and very important point to be noted students, always write in point wise. Okay, so always write in point wise. If you write in point wise, if any one point goes wrong, it is not going to have effect of that wrong point on all the correct points. Whereas if you write in the paragraph wise, then it becomes very difficult for moderator to segregate that. I hope everyone understood this. So this was your question 5. Now let us go to the question 7. Now there is a ABC producer company. Now first only it is fit in our mind that this question is relating to a producer company now. Okay, so it was incorporated on 11th of July 2013 as a producer company with objective of production of wheat and related products. Now the CAGR since inception is 12%. Now during COVID-19 pandemic, there was tremendous upsurging operating income. It was around 110% as compared to the last year. So there is huge surplus funds. See all these things, don't get tensed. They are just giving you tension by distracting you. Read it carefully because the real question is going to come at last. Okay, so there is a huge surplus fund in company, hence director opined that fund may be invested. See, now this is a question coming up, right? So in the stock market related instruments including equity, bonds and mutual funds. So they want to invest. Where they want to invest? Stock market related products, that is equity, bonds and mutual funds. He also suggested to do FNO. FNO is futures and options. However, company secretary objected this and said that fund can be invested only in certain categories, and now you have to examine that. First, analyze by recollecting provisions of producer company whether the contentions of company secretary are correct or not. They are 100% correct because there are certain restrictions as to investment by the producer company. Producer company can invest but only and only in the specified and approved securities. So this is a straightforward question students. No need to write in the form of a case law, but you have to just give starting introduction, write those allowed activities or allowed investment and then conclude that. So how do we do that? I'll tell you. Let us go to the producer company now. See students, these are the investments in general reserves. So whenever any of the producer company has any reserves and if they want to invest, they can only and only invest in this securities. Okay, so how do you write this answer? That the opinion of the director of finance is not correct as company, that is producer company, is not allowed to invest in stock market related products, neither it can go for FNO. The contention of company secretary is correct as producer company can invest only and only in following securities. Okay, so what is the first one? Approved securities or FD or units or bonds issued by whom? Either CG or SG or cooperative society or the scheduled banks. Also, it can invest in any cooperative bank, state cooperative, cooperative land development banks and central cooperative bank. Also, it can invest in any other scheduled banks. Also, securities which are specified by Indian Trust Act. Also, in any interstate cooperative society. Also, in shares, securities, assets of your PFI. So, these are the only allowed investment, and it's very important, students, we need to learn this. Okay, so this was your question number 7. Going to the next one. Again, this is relating to an OPC. So, Vinod formed a single person economic activity in form of an OPC with his brother Kishore as its nominee. Okay. So, who all are the member of OPC? Currently, Vinod is the member, and who is the nominee? Kishore is the nominee. Okay. Now, on 10th May, Kishore withdrew his consent as a nominee of OPC. Can he do so? Can he withdraw that? Can nominee withdraw the consent? Yes, nominee can withdraw the consent. So, nominee has withdrew the consent. Okay, so now Kishore nominee is no longer. So, what is requirement? We need to appoint a nominee. Examine whether following individuals are eligible for being nominated as nominee of OPC as on 10th May 2022. So now Shyam is son of Vinod. Okay, so who is the first candidate? First candidate is Shyam, who is son of Vinod. Okay, and as on 10th May, he is 15 years old. Correct? The second one is Ashok. Okay, now Ashok is an Indian citizen. Ashok is an Indian citizen and who is presently member of OPC. Again, he is member of another OPC. Tell me, students, who can become nominee out of these two? Shyam is already cancelled, because can a minor become the nominee? The answer is no. Okay, minor cannot become nominee. So, Shyam cannot become nominee. So, now Ashok. Can Ashok become nominee? Let us recollect the rules again. Natural person and Indian citizen. So, he is natural person also and Indian citizen also. So far everything is fine. But now he is member of another OPC. The students always remember, a person cannot be member of more than one OPC. But person can be a member and a nominee of two different OPC. So, as Ashok is member of one OPC, he can become nominee of another OPC. I hope all of you understood this. So, over here, Ashok can become the nominee of this OPC. I hope everyone understood this. Such kind of twisted, tricky questions are always asked. So, what we have to do is understand question properly by writing the contents. This you can do in the rough work. And then frame the case law in your mind. Write applicable law section. In provision, you are going to write section 2 clause 62's requirements, that is natural person and Indian citizen. Over here, two more things you have to add. Minor cannot become the nominee, and secondly, a person can become member of one OPC and nominee of another OPC. After that, you are going to write arguments where you are going to relate the above mentioned provisions in your case law. Okay, so you have to explain why Shyam cannot become member and why Ashok can become member. And in the concluding point, now let us go to the question once again. Who can become member of OPC? So we will conclude, as per section 2 clause 62 of Companies Act 2013, Shyam cannot become nominee, but Ashok can become nominee of an OPC. I hope everyone understood this. Okay, so students, always remember, this chapter is very important and we have covered all the questions which were asked in past 4 attempts. So today we will be discussing all your 4 attempts questions, that is last 4 attempts questions of your chapter number 4. You know, students, chapter number 4 is again one of the very important chapter as far as your June 23 attempt is concerned, because for every attempt they are asking minimum 1 or 2 questions from this. and questions are not direct question, they will always ask you in the form of a case law. So let us start with the first question. It's a SDM Private Limited. It is having a share capital, that is paid up share capital of 45 lakhs. Okay, by now you have understood how to interpret the question properly. And annual turnover of 185 lakhs. Now 185 lakhs, if you convert into crores, it is 1.85 crore. Okay. It is a wholly owned subsidiary of K Limited, a listed company. So can SDM Private Limited be called as a small company as per provisions of Companies Act 2013? Now this question is relating to the small company. So which is the applicable section number over here, students? If you recollect this section, it is 2 clause 85. So 2 clause 85 talks about the small company. Now what is a small company? Small company means a company which is other than public company, right? So company will be always a private limited company. Also, the company should not be having paid up share capital exceeding rupees 4 crore as per the amendment, and turnover not exceeding rupees 40 crores. So this 3 criteria needs to be fulfilled. Everyone knows this, right? Okay. So now in the question they have told that paid up share capital is 45 lakhs, so within the criteria, and turnover is also within the criteria, that is 1.85 crores. But the main problem is the company is a wholly owned subsidiary. So when company is a wholly owned subsidiary, if you remember, students, there was one more provision that nothing in this clause shall apply to holding subsidiary, registered Section 8 company and statutory company. So SDM Private Limited, being a wholly owned subsidiary, cannot be a small company. I hope everyone understood this. Students, you can crack the case laws if you know the sections very well. Okay, so over here, what will be the answer? Over here, first of all, we will be writing applicable law and section. In provision, you are going to write as per section 2 clause 85 and the definition of that. Also, you have to include provided nothing in this clause shall apply to those 3 things. Okay, holding and subsidiary, where you are going to highlight the word subsidiary there. After that, arguments will come. The provision you have to relate to your questions. You have to just brief the question. Don't write entire question. Moderator has a question. Okay, so just brief it up and start writing the answers. Whatever you want to write, reasons and analysis and explanation, everything write in the argument points, because our analysis point or the conclusion point is only a one-liner point. So what is the question over here? Whether SDM Private Limited be called as a small company or not. So our analysis is, as per section 2 clause 85, SDM Private Limited cannot be a small company. That's it. You need not write reason again. Okay, so this was your question from December 22. Let us go to the next question. Now the next question says that Love Limited has entered into contract with the Kush Limited, by which Kush Limited will control 22% of the sale and disposal of the output of Love Limited. Okay, so enumerate the nature of relationship between the companies. So when it comes to the relationship, as per the relationship, the companies are divided into holding, subsidiary and associate company. So Love and Kush, it is not holding subsidiary company, because for subsidiary we require more than half of the voting rights. Over here it is having only a control of 22%. Remember, student, the definition of associate company. Associate company is defined in section 2 clause 6. So as per section 2 clause 6, if any company is holding substantially, so what is meaning of substantially? Again, in the numerical terms they have given 20%. So any company having control of minimum 20% or more and less than 50%, that such company will be called as a holding company, and in which it has a control will be called as an associate company. But again they have added saying that it's not required always that 20% is required, But what is very important in the associate company is something called as a control. So there has to be some kind of a control. That control can be in the equity or board of directors, that is composition, or it can be any business decision. So as per this explanation, when you relate this to your case study, we can find out that Love Limited has become a holding company because it has control of how much? 22% in Kush Limited. Which control it has? Sale and disposal of output of Love Limited. I hope everyone understood this. So what is the question over here? Explain nature of relationship between both the companies. So over here, Love is a holding company and Kush is its associate company. So this is your answer for your first. For that, you will get how much? 3 marks. Okay. After that, next one says that Surya Private Limited having paid up share capital of 45 lakhs and annual turnover of 185 lakhs is wholly owned subsidiary of HEMA. Did you find something similar, student? The same question was there. See, repeated question. I always tell my students that ICSI always repeats the question. So if you have solved past paper questions, you need not think. Directly you can start writing. This is how you can save your time. Okay, so again 45, 185. It is within the purview of small company, but what is the problem over here? As discussed, it's a wholly owned subsidiary of HEMA Limited, which is a listed company. One more point to be noted, students. Subsidiary of a public company is a deemed public company. And we have seen that small company is only a private limited company. So because of this, Surya Private Limited will not be treated as a small company. I hope all of you understood these 2 questions. Going to next, it is about a government company. PQR Power Corporation is a government company which is incorporated on 1st of December 2018. The Comptroller and Auditor General of India has appointed the auditors for company on 9th of Jan 2019. Akshal filed RTI. RTI is Right to Information on 5th of March 2019 to know the status of appointment of auditors of company, and further he writes to ROC stating that appointment of first auditor is invalid. So now what is the question about, student? You have understood it's about the auditors, that to the first auditor's appointment. And company has contravened the provisions of Companies Act 2013, where the contention of Akshay is tenable. Also state conditions for appointment of subsequent auditors of PQR Power Corporation. If you remember, appointment of first auditor, let us go to the government company. Yes. So the first auditor of the company has to be appointed by Comptroller and Auditor General of India, and they have to appoint first auditor within 60 days of its incorporation. Okay, so now going back to our question. When was company incorporated? On 1st of December 2018. And when was the auditor appointed? 9th of Jan 2019, which is well within the 60 days. So whatever Comptroller and Auditor General of India has done, that is correct. So it is not contravening any provisions of Companies Act. Hence over here the contentions of Akshay are not correct. Now why did this RTI and all come in place? Because ICSI wants you to get confused. Okay, so if you don't understand this RTI and all, read the question again and again. What is the main problem is students start focusing more on RTI rather than the question. Okay, they will write hell lot of matters earlier, okay, in the initial part, so that you all get confused. Always focus on what is the question about. I hope all of you understood this. So first one, applicable law and applicable section. So section number is 2 clause 45, everyone knows that. After that, in provision, you have to write the provisions relating to appointment of first auditor. Along with that, also write about the subsequent auditor. That subsequent auditor will be appointed by Comptroller and Auditor General of India within 180 days of beginning of your financial year. Everyone knows that, and tenure is always a 1-year tenure, that is up to next annual general meeting. So over here we don't have rule relating to 5 years appointment. After that, in argument, you are going to relate your provision to this particular question, write that Akshay's contentions are not correct as auditors were appointed within 60 days by Comptroller Auditor General of India. And in the analysis point, that is conclusion point, just write one line answer. Akshay's contentions were not correct as per provisions of Companies Act 2013. That's it with your answer. Okay, I hope everyone has understood this. So now we are going to start with chapter number 5. Chapter number 5 is formation of your LLPs. Very easy chapter. That's why students, the weightage is also very less. So the weightage over here comes around 4 marks. That too may be asked, may not be asked. Hence in last 2 or rather last 4 attempts we can find that they have asked only for 2 times. That too, that's a repeated question, that is changing of name of the LLP. So both the times they have asked you procedure to change the name of the LLP. Always remember, from this chapter you will get the direct question. Also very important concepts of this chapter are, remember, it is first of all the audit. Audit is mandatory to which kind of LLPs? We know that capital not exceeding 25 lakhs and turnover not exceeding 40 lakhs. Along with that, there is a provision called as an ECBs. Can LLPs issue ECBs? The answer is no, because there is a prohibition that LLP cannot issue ECBs. And the next important provision is the annual compliances of LLP. Okay, so in this annual compliance you have to write about, first of all, form 11, then you have to write about form number 8, and last one about your income tax return filing. So these 3 concepts are very important. Apart from that, they are repetitively asking you procedure to change the name of LLP. Okay, now in order to change the name of LLP, what all points you need to write is, first of all, you need to convene the partners meeting, that is designated partners meeting. In that you have to pass the resolution. Now we need not mention it's a ordinary or special, because this is not a company law which is applicable. Okay, so after that you will be writing apply for name reservation. Okay, and this name reservation is applied in form LLP run. Okay, run application is there, but when you are using for LLP, we name it as LLP run form. After you receive approval from ROC, after that you have to proceed, you have to draft new LLP agreement, because every time you are changing anything, right from designated partners or registered office or name of the LLP or object of LLP, you are always altering the agreement, because all these points are written in your agreement. Like memorandum and articles are charters of the company, LLP agreement is charter of an LLP. So you have to always draft the new agreement, but this new agreement, it cannot or never replace the original one. Original one will always be with the LLP for the lifetime of LLP. So this new agreement has to be drafted. This new agreement will be called as an supplementary agreement. Okay, so please remember, it's a supplementary agreement. So when you file this agreement, always your original will be attached. So how many changes you make, for all the changes you will be filing supplementary agreement. And this supplementary agreement in Maharashtra, we take it on stamp paper of ₹100. So once we draft the new agreement, after that now you have to file forms with ROC. Okay. Now which are the forms which we file with the ROC? For name change we have form 5. Okay, and there is one more form for LLP agreement, everyone knows, which is form number 3. So form 5 and form 3 we filed together. Now why I have given plus sign over here? The reason is these two forms are linked forms. Means you cannot file this form individually. Understood? So in form file you will be attaching documents which are relevant for the name change. So name change documents will be coming over here, and in form 3 you will be filing your, first of all, original agreement. Along with that, the new one which you have made, that is a supplementary agreement, because in supplementary agreement will mention only and only the name change part. All other provisions relating same in your original. So this is how we do it, and both of these forms we have to file within 30 days. 30 days of your name change. I hope everyone has understood this. Clear? Okay, so this is how we write the procedure. Okay, so for both of this question the answer will be same. Also I have discussed certain important provisions of your chapter number 5. So that's it for this video, students. See you all.